Is this a Bitcoin rally or is this a crypto rally?
We are seeing a Bitcoin rally right now, and there's even more unique factor that we're seeing in this. It's not the funding. The perpetual premiums are still at a low. This is really being led by spot buying. And so this is one of the greatest indicators that we're seeing, that this is purely led by spot buyers of Bitcoin in size. Now, you may say it's a little bit quiet, and I hate to say the secret here, but most of the institutional buyers are going to be quiet until they're in their position. So that's what we're really excited to be able to see. We've had huge volumes across the board, across all exchanges, seeing lots of spot buying in Bitcoin, and there's more to come.
One institutional player, pretty big one, Ray Dalio, tweeting out saying he might be missing something, but he notes that he says he doesn't see Bitcoin being an effective currency, and I understand that part, but he says largely his issue is that it's not a good store of wealth. What are the other institutional investors getting and seeing in terms of a store of wealth that Ray Dalio is not yet seeing?
You know, if I had to pick a kickball team and there was Paul Tudor Jones on one side with Stan Druckenmiller and Ray Dalio on the other side, it'd be a really tough decision. But I think we're seeing significantly more institutional buy-in, the validation of this market, of this asset class. For the first time ever, we have not only regulators, we have banks, we have these key macro investors, but we also have congressmen and women that are now well aware of what Bitcoin is, making sure their contingencies are well aware too.
And so on the regulatory side, and the idea here that a lot of folks in this space were sort of waiting for a little bit more of a green light from, at least here in the U.S., from the SEC and others to allow for, I guess, broader financial vehicles to invest in this. Do you actually think that that could be on the horizon?
You know, we're going to see some changes over the next few months with the administration. That's definitely going to take into account possible changes inside the regulation. But for us, uncertainty, we can still build through it in a decentralized manner. In a global pandemic, Bitcoin and the industry that's blossoming out of it has been able to be resilient.
I want to go back to that first topic about the seeming quietness within the sort of media and public attention. From your perspective, looking at retail activity, how does the buying that you see compare to late 2017?
Late 2017 was more of a panicked FOMO, going in not aware of what was happening. Since then, we've had another halving, which has led to a robust amount of education, as well as getting people aware of what it means to have a two-way market. You were able to see some bearish periods of time where people were able to, sharpen up their risk management, as well as build out mature infrastructure that really can handle this amount of demand. We're right now cusping the all-time high in market cap, and this is because as time has gone on, there's been continued amounts of mined Bitcoin. So it's exciting to see other all-time highs, even if we've not yet broken through that 20,000 mark.
When you have players such as Paul Tudor Jones saying, I'm going to commit about a percentage, just 1% of my money into Bitcoin, that level of demand is just so outweighing what we see in terms of supply at the moment. And this sort of feels as though why we're seeing this drive higher, if we are getting the institutional players finally coming in, what level of price do we continue to see it push up at? I mean, we've had like 1, 2, 3 parabolic moves. Do we continue to see it push past 20,000, or anyone calling the caps and the tops quite yet?
Yeah, it's been 7 strong weeks since we were around the 10,000 mark and now up to the upper 17s. And you're seeing the likes of Paul Tudor Jones say 1%, whereas Fidelity is often advising 5% or more. So you're seeing both of these demands come into the play. Still, a lot of America and a lot of the world is not yet in digital assets or aware of digital assets. So that is yet to come. There's still a heavy push on education and access. But both are very strong. You've also got a sense of worldwide solidarity around this asset class, and that's going to be a hard one to break.
Yeah, and when you talk about people being aware of it, I mean, we have a chart that I think we showed by accident earlier. I think we can show it by purpose now, which sort of shows you kind of the story, the interest in people sort of clicking on stories about Bitcoin, about the number of mentions of Bitcoin in stories, and sort of how that correlates to price here. Of course, all the activity was back in 2017, 2018, and that's sort of fallen off now. I'm curious that as more attention comes back into Bitcoin, whether that attention you think is actually going to be positive, because it seemed that a lot of the stories that were written back in 2017, 2018 seemed to take a somewhat negative stance, or at least a skeptical stance about the future of Bitcoin and crypto.
The narrative is definitely resonating with more people. And I think that's because we've been able to tell it in different ways. So not only are people still focused on Satoshi's white paper, but they're just bringing in the practical benefits of digital assets. We can trade them 24/7. We can access them on our phones. We can be in our homes safe, especially during lockdown. And these are critical things that we're going to have to learn about going forward as a digital future. So that's really where Bitcoin solidified its place in this market, being accessible around the world in whatever conditions you need. And as well, we're seeing such supportive infrastructure, the likes of Silvergate Exchange Network now allowing for institutional clients to move dollars 24/7 instantly and free through platforms. Binance US just opened that up for our institutional traders, as well as opening up North Carolina. So you're still seeing these large steps being made towards grander adoption, as well as making sure these use cases are fitting those in need.
In 2017, Catherine, of course, we saw everyone, they went home for Thanksgiving, told their relatives to buy Bitcoin and Litecoin and a bunch of others, and then they all went nuts. This year, probably not so much. Are you worried about that? No one gets to gloat about their crypto gains around the Thanksgiving table and not having that viral network effect this year?
Less time talking to my aunts and uncles, more time being able to focus on trading. That's probably what I'm seeing. But no, there's going to be a great amount of conversations. Certainly some folks that have left some of their Bitcoin under their couch looking for it now as the price continues to be important in the adoption factor. But I still see with the lockdown in New York, people are going to need more things to do inside their homes, and certainly focusing on their financial well-being and looking into really understanding digital assets is an easy one that we're here to help with.